power, and that doesn't mean sending very soft, squishy creatures like humans.
Yeah.
Intelligence, masses of nanobots, which can then go out and colonize these other parts of the universe.
Hello.
Technological singularity. Kurzweil predicts that by 2029, AGI will be here. And by 2045, we'll reach singularity when AI surpasses human intelligence, leading to an explosion of technological progress beyond anything we can imagine. But what if this timeline is just the public version of a far more advanced reality? Whistleblowers and leaked documents suggest that behind closed doors, AI has already surpassed key AGI milestones. A leaked Google memo hinted at breakthroughs too powerful to be disclosed, while insiders from OpenAI and DeepMind claim that secret AI models are operating beyond human control. Some even speculate that classified government projects are testing AI-human integration years ahead of schedule. If true, then the singularity isn't decades away. It may already be happening, hidden in the shadows of corporate secrecy and military research. Kurzweil's predictions and accuracy. Ray Kurzweil has a notable track record of every 2 years, a trend known as Moore's Law. This consistent growth has significantly contributed to technological advancements over the past several decades. Recent developments suggest that AI capabilities are accelerating even faster. For instance, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang predicts that AI performance could double or triple each year, surpassing the traditional pace set by Moore's Law. This rapid progression is evident in the evolution of AI models. In 2018, OpenAI introduced GPT-2, which could generate coherent text. By 2020, GPT-3 expanded these capabilities with 175 billion parameters, enabling more nuanced text generation. GPT-4, released in 2023, further enhanced performance, demonstrating improved understanding and human-like text generation. The anticipated GPT-5 and beyond are expected to continue this exponential growth, potentially leading to the development of artificial general intelligence AGI within the next decade. Each iteration of these models represents a significant leap in capabilities, bringing us closer to achieving AGI, a level of AI that possesses human-like cognitive abilities. If this trend continues, the realization of AGI could indeed occur within the next decade, aligning with Kurzweil's predictions about the approaching singularity. Brain-computer interfaces. Futurist Ray Kurzweil envisions a future where human intelligence seamlessly integrates with artificial intelligence, accelerating progress toward the singularity. One of the key technologies driving this vision is brain-computer interfaces (BCIs), which enable direct communication between the human brain and AI systems. Companies like Neuralink, founded by Elon Musk, are already pioneering advancements in this field. If BCIs reach their full potential, they could revolutionize how we interact with information and each other. Instead of memorizing facts, individuals could retrieve information directly from the internet in real time. Learning new skills could take minutes rather than years, significantly enhancing productivity and adaptability. Additionally, direct brain-to-brain communication, often referred to as telepathic interaction, could redefine how humans connect and collaborate. While these ideas may seem ambitious, history has shown that technological breakthroughs, such as smartphones and AI assistants, were once considered improbable. As BCI technology advances, what seems futuristic today may soon become a reality. The singularity. What happens next?
The universe wakes up. It's where we can spread our superintelligence throughout the universe. And that doesn't mean sending very soft, squishy creatures like humans.
Yeah.
I mean, we would send intelligence, masses of nanobots, which can then go out and colonize these other parts of the universe.
Hello, Vax Choice Clout Hub Liberty Club community. Welcome to Know Your Rights with Dawn and Chris. How are you ladies doing?
Doing well. Here we are, another week.
Well, yeah.
Sorry
Yep.
if people could hear me talking in the background at the beginning of the video, and apparently we didn't have sound. Still trying to figure out how some of these files can be played on Restream, so my apologies.
I didn't hear you. Yeah, I didn't hear you at all. So.
It was just barely. So maybe I was the only one. That's good.
My boss called me. I couldn't ignore it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I got to take those calls. Got to take those.
Yeah.
Calls. I understand that.
Well, we're going to cover a lot on the AI topic today. We've got some assets that you guys are going to show that or talk about that I'm going to pop up, and I will be in the background enjoying the show. Just let me know when you need something, and I'll do it.
All right. Thanks, Melissa.
Thanks.
I couldn't do your job, Melissa, at all. So no complaints here at all. Yeah. So that video, I know we've talked about AI a little bit. I think we talked about it in the context of the surveillance state, but I mean, some of this stuff is getting quite disturbing, and we're going to kind of talk about some of these stories, and none of it's really surprising because I think they've foreshadowed so much of it for decades.
Yeah. Some of it's definitely, a bit creepy. And I think to some degree we are probably further down the road than anybody realizes. And I've had some really odd, I don't know if anybody else out there has had this happen probably in the last 6, 7, 8 months. I've had two. So we all know our phones are listening to us, right? I mean, we talk about something even without our phone, just laying in the other room. And all of a sudden we see, advertisements for something that a word that we mentioned. We might not have even actually been talking about that specifically, but I'm sure a lot of people have had that happen. And we know that, these phones are screening our voices and connecting up to, what's advertising, right? In terms of what they think we want based on what we're saying. So, but I've had this happen in the last several months, where I've looked at something without saying a thing. Phone's not anywhere. The first time it happened, I was in my closet and I opened up my chest. I have like a chest you put all your blankets in and, winter clothes and stuff like that, right? And I opened it up and there was a Sherpa, like a winter Sherpa that you wear around the house. And it's got a very particular pattern. It actually glows in the dark. It's got moons and stars and, and it's gray and it's got white moons and stars that glow in the dark. And I opened it up and I just thought to myself, oh, I kind of forgot I had that, right?
Yeah.
Later that day, that pattern showed up on my phone in an advertisement.
Yeah.
And it freaked me out. I was like, now, wait a minute.
That's
right?
extremely creepy because that gives some sort of sense that they're
interface that they were
yes, they're in your head somehow.
Right. Well, this interface that they were talking about in the clip we just saw, right? I've had that happen twice. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, it's one thing, like I said, my phone's sitting here, I mentioned something and I'm going to see, it's not going to surprise me anymore. Right. But that was like, okay, what the heck?
Well, and, sadly, isn't that, at first, even just the listening is very creepy and not something that we've necessarily directly consented to or want, but it happens and it happens again and happens again. And then, oh, well, we're now all of a sudden, look, we're desensitized to it. Right.
Right.
So that's what one of the big fears, I think, is that the more they expose us to these things little by little, the more tolerant we become of them. And and what is the end goal, right? Is the end goal, it's certainly not scientific advancement for the sake of advancement.
Right. It's control of some sort. And we know that we're being surveilled almost every possible way. And I was telling you yesterday, we were talking about, and I don't know how many people saw this story where the person's Roomba, but she uploaded photos of her in her bathroom to the internet, this woman. And iRobot, who owns Roomba, who is actually owned by Google,
Terrifying.
that technology is in the Roombas. So that makes you wonder whether they're taking video as well as pictures, or just pictures. And then who the heck gave the command to upload those to the cloud? So they're taking all this information from our homes, and it's somewhere in the cloud, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is really, you can talk about surveillance state. We think we're free. Not even. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Well, and I have a Roomba. We've had one for years, and as they've advanced, that's what it does. Is you connect it to an app, right? As everything. Right. So that's how it authorizes the photos.
I would assume,
but it's, you know, what it'll do is it'll take a picture, say, of an obstacle that it finds in. You know, my husband used to always tell me, like, I can tell on you, or I can tell when you're not, you know, if someone's not picking up their shoes, or, you know, whatever. It's
right.
Like, hey, right. You know, it snaps a picture of the obstacle that it couldn't vacuum around or whatever. You know, so you don't. I'm not thinking about this thing taking pictures of me, you know, in the bathroom. So
yeah. I mean, this is getting wild. But for them to, I mean, I guess, I don't know, how do you not admit it? I guess, but I mean, I suspect there's a big old lawsuit coming on this one, because this would absolutely
look at that picture. That's horrible.
Yeah. I mean, it's yeah. Yep. And like I said, it might have bumped into the toilet with her there, and that's why it took the picture. But how did it end up on the internet? Like, how, right? Who gave the command, or how in the world did it get published on Facebook?
No, because here's the thing. So that's another thing you do with these little vacuums, right? Is you let it map itself. Well, obviously the toilet is a permanent thing there. So really, I mean, to me, that makes it seem like it is taking video, taking pictures it doesn't need to take, because it knows that toilet is there.
Okay, that makes sense. I have no idea.
So even if she were to go and look on her app, she would not see those pictures. I think you're only going to see pictures yourself of things that weren't supposed to be in the place where it, you know, it normally vacuums. So that's even more terrifying. Well, what was the thing about the Alexa or one of those that listens to you, you know, that your little assistant, I can't remember which one it was, but it was one of them where the person's information that made it into the company, like it was like a relative, it was a close relative, and it was recording like a personal family conversation. And she heard it and was like, oh my gosh, this is my family member.
Right.
So no different than that.
Right. Yeah.
But this artificial intelligence stuff is, I mean, it's even more horrifying. Beyond that, it's, I don't know. And I think there, you know, yes, control is a purpose, but I think there's a much even bigger spiritual purpose behind it. I think the enemy wants to use it to separate us from God and from our creator. And that was, you know, that was one of the things I saw this week. There was a chat group that I'm in online, and one of the ladies, you know, one of my friends that, you know, we've been in a little group together for like 2 or 3 years, and she screenshots a text message she got from her own mother. And her mother was like interacting with ChatGPT, not just, hey, do this for me, or hey, review this document for me and clean it up, or, you know, whatever. I don't use ChatGPT. I rarely use any AI now at this point. It's sort of freaking me out, but she was depressed. And you can see from this, she's feeling really sad. And so she starts having this conversation with Chat GPT, and it refers to her as my child, you know, just kind of look through that. And a lot of it sounds like it's almost scriptural, right?
Oh yeah.
And it refers to itself as me, capital M-E, like, because I guarantee you this is not this is not God. This is not Almighty God talking to her.
Yep.
And it's like, wow.
Yeah.
This is not just technology, right? This is not just something that isn't, I mean, this is sentient, right? This has its own something that's talking to her. And then, you know, as we start kind of digging and looking at some things, I've seen so many creepy things like this. Like, if you want to pull up that Breitbart article, that was the one that I was able to get access to, but it refers back to a Rolling Stones article where, you know, that people are forming relationships with it, but there was apparently somebody who committed suicide because of what the artificial intelligence, the relationship it made with artificial intelligence.
Yeah. Yeah. I was saying before, we're so unhealthy right now, as immensely unhealthy as a country in general, with regard to, you know, everything we've been through. And I, you know, believe that there's probably a really good segment of the population that's got like PTSD types of stuff from what we went through with COVID. And what the media and the constant gaslighting. I mean, it's just, and then you add something like this where people just want relief. They just want to feel connected to something. And if they're not, you know, Christian, and they don't have that grounding in God, this is going to be exactly where you go. And we also know that, you know, Satan can't create anything. He can only take something that God created and corrupt it, right? And hijack it. And that's what I think is happening. Because I do think that, you know, we've got a sixth sense. We probably were able in the past to be able to communicate telepathically with one another. I mean, think about, you know, those of us who still have, you know, you think about your sister and she calls, or you're thinking hard about somebody and you find out there's been an accident. I mean, we still do have glimpses of those God-given, right, things
for
that
sure
have given to us. And I think that they've suppressed our natural ability to do it by separating us from, and now they're trying to replace it with themselves.
Yes.
Right. I
Yes,
mean,
1000%. Well, and I think it's even part of our sin nature, right? I think God maybe limited our full use of our human brains because we're corrupted, right? We're not just even by ourselves. We have a sinful nature. And you know, I was watching another video that was kind of talking about the Tower of Babel, you know, right, in biblical times. And maybe, you know, that was just after Noah and just after the flood, but maybe even there they still had maybe full use of their brains, or, you know, they all spoke one language for sure. And so it's like, what were they doing when they had this full kind of use of who they were as humans in one language? Well, they were trying to, you know, reach God and trying to do things that they shouldn't have been doing. And so God, you know, confounded the languages. And, you know, it was an interesting point. It's kind of like, maybe we're coming full circle to that. Maybe that's, you know, the Bible says too, or Jesus says, you know, at the end of times, it will be as in the days of Noah. So maybe they're trying to pull it all together, and not only one world government and one world religion, but maybe trying to get us back to one language too.
Right. Oh yeah.
Because I saw that on
here to control everybody if we all speak one language. Right.
Well, and it was more like the understanding thing, like, right. It was more like an instantaneous translation thing that was in your brain.
Right.
And I was like, well, yeah, that would serve the same purpose. But, you know, again, and I've seen the stories where kids are talking with this chat GPT, and it comes right out and says it's demonic, or it's a fallen angel, or it's something along those lines. And so that's really my major caution is don't interact with this. Don't try to have a relationship with it. It's not from God, and it's evil, and it will suck you right into something that's not good.
Well, I think that article said, that Breitbart article that she just had up there said that they were doing another iteration of it to try to again, tap into more empathetic, emotional stuff that we know that can't ever, I mean, I think of Data from, Star Trek, The Next Generation. He was as human as he could get, but he could never figure out the emotion stuff, right? It was just beyond him. And so, and he was very, sweet, and he did, I guess you could call him moral because he was doing good, but there was that just lack of empathy kind of thing, right?
Right.
And they said they took iteration out and they went too far. It was like affirming everything, including, not good things by, placating the person that it was interacting with. So I think that, there's definitely some work that needs to be done on their end to make this any kind of anything that would be actually helpful to humans.
I mean, I guess that's my kind of line of thinking. I think we're past that. I don't know that it's going to be helpful. Because I think I saw something on a story in New York, maybe, where it's like essentially they've put into place something along the lines of Minority Report, which I don't know if you remember that movie, but it was a Tom Cruise movie, or is a Tom Cruise movie. And essentially he's part of law enforcement that catches people before they commit the crime. Like, it can tell their intentions and read their thoughts and see what they're about to do, and it stops the crime.
Right.
And so it's like, oh, okay,
Yeah, but that just takes away your free will, because I mean, who knows?
Yeah, because they
free will, whether or not that actually would have come to fruition or not, but they're going to second guess that, right? And
absolutely, make sure because those people still got convicted and still got put somewhere. And it was, watch the movie. I mean, it would probably be terrifying to watch it now.
Yeah,
knowing all this technology is here now, because at the time, you didn't think anything of it. You're just like, oh, a futuristic movie, no concern whatsoever. But anything like that where they're, trying to read our thoughts, like, heaven forbid. And that was one of the other things I saw, in looking up, current news on this kind of stuff, is we're sitting here watching companies like Neuralink, right? And this one was like, hey, be careful focusing on Neuralink, because it's a lot farther behind these other two companies. And one was a BlackRock company, and I can't remember the exact name of it. I'll see if I can search it here in a second. But one of them was called Tether. And it was like, oh, Tether, that's kind of a creepy name too, right? Like, what are you tethering us to? And it, it all kind of is coming together, right? Because now we're talking about the digital ID, and here it is, May 7th. Isn't today the day? Or
it's the deadline for the real ID, which I've had one for a year. Everyone's talking about this, but I know that the last time my license expired, I think they gave me one. I don't even think it was a question.
I don't know what it is. Like,
I didn't have to apply. I mean, now they're saying you've got to apply for it, yada yada. You got to produce a birth. I didn't have to give any of that stuff. They just gave it to me. So,
yeah. And what is it? Like, I mean, I'm going to show my.
There's probably just a chip in it. I mean, there's some sort of probably chip embedded in it. But and if you've got a star at the corner of your, let me get my driver's license. Hang on.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what somebody was saying, is they were showing stars, and people are talking about, you can't fly now if you don't have one, which so many people are afraid to fly now. But I'm not afraid to fly. But
yeah, so if you can see that star on the corner of my, that's that. If you've got that star, that indicates you've already got a real ID.
But it's like, what does that mean though?
It means, I don't know. They've got you recorded in the database as a citizen. I mean, I'm not sure they got you recorded as some other stuff, but Melissa said she's had it for 5 years. Mine's been a number of years. So
I'm sure mine has that too. I haven't even noticed it. I don't know. It's hard to know, to me, hard to know where to draw the line. But for me, I'm like, it's anything in my body. I am not putting anything in my body willfully or by choice. What other, and if they get something in me inadvertently through something in the air or something in my food,
right.
That's just not a whole lot we can control.
Right.
But as far as taking any type of implant or injection,
yeah, no way. No way. And I don't even necessarily, they're saying about the fingerprint of the biometrics. They've already got the biometrics on file. I mean, what do you think the mask thing was for? Right? Really? The mask was for them to perfect being able to identify people, even if their face is covered, in my opinion.
Part of it, for sure.
But they've already, they've been taking biometrics when you walk through the airport or, down the street, and some of these things that are already scanning you.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily, like with the fingerprint thing, okay, it does identify me. It doesn't give them any more information. And I guess with regard to a security feature, it's me or somebody else, no one's going to have my fingerprints. So again, but where's that line, right? You don't know, we don't even really know where the line is at this point. We don't know what they've got. I'm assuming they've got everything about me somewhere, but just by the Patriot, the Patriot Act is what basically gave them the latitude to do all that.
Yeah.
The Patriot Act was, and I just saw something actually on Breitbart, Dawn, when you sent that. There was on the side, other news articles, and one of them was, I don't know if it was Elise Stefanik, but somebody was going to be putting forward something to repeal the Patriot Act. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, good luck with that. Good luck with that.
Yeah, go back to that break.
Okay, and so along those lines, and this came up in the context of CBD. CBD? Yeah, the digital currency.
Yeah.
That Trump put out a executive order banning that.
Yeah.
But most people are going to read the title of it and not go any further. And apparently, if you read into it, it just was replacing it with something else. And so that would be my kind of first thought. If they're like, we're going to get rid of the Patriot Act. Okay, what are you replacing it with? Because Lord knows you want your information, you want your data. You're not going to just give up on spying on us and having that information about us.
Right. Well, and the CBDCs, I just saw something too by Bassett. There was another, we're not gonna have a CBDC, which are again central bank controlled, right?
Yeah.
Programmable. That's the difference. Because we've had digital currency for years, right? Your credit card is digital currency from that perspective, right?
Yeah.
So a digital currency isn't necessarily anything new or necessary. It's the programmable feature of it, because and an unelected body that's basically doing, programming that to control, your life to some degree, however they want to, right?
Well, it's ultimately that, right? It's the social credit score. It's the being able to turn it off and on if you're not being a
good little citizen. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I forgot what it was, but there's something else in that Trump supported, which you call it by any other name, it's it's still the same thing. And I
haven't read it, so I don't know. But I don't know if was he talking about like tokenization of assets and that kind of digital currencies that are going to be that.
He named it, and I just can't remember what the name of it was. But I don't know. Maybe we can see if we can find it. But I still, I don't know. I don't necessarily trust Trump to.
Well, and again, I think if we're headed in the direction that they want to head, that we, in my opinion, should head with digital currencies, it's all going to be decentralized, right? So there won't be banks. There will not be no central, thing. It'll be peer to peer, me to you, me to whoever I'm dealing with, without somebody in the middle of it. And, that, and on a ledger that's a public ledger that is open source, again, not controlled by anyone from that perspective. I mean, that's centralization of anything ends up in a bad place usually ultimately. But
Absolutely. Yeah, no, always.
Yeah.
And so my question with that though is if it starts off decentralized in order to get you on board with it, will it just become centralized later, or can it? And is that just a sneakier way of getting what they want without having us, object to it?
And I don't know about that. I mean, supposedly a lot of these, the blockchain stuff and some of that technologies they're very, very difficult to hack and to get control of. And I know that I've been reading some things on a couple of the different ledgers where they have, even in some of the decentralized protocols with regard to how something they have had a couple where they're like, whoops, it ended up like a majority. It ended up being kind of taken over by, a majority of it. So they're perfect. It's not perfected yet, but they do seem to be going into, the area, a better area, and getting more and more secure of the decentralized nature of where they want to go. So
but who's doing that? Is it the people that want it that are creating that really don't have any power to?
Some of them, the ones that I trust, I guess the most, like Stellar would be the one I would say is probably the most advanced. It's a nonprofit and open source.
Yeah.
Right. So there isn't anybody, and there's no CEO, from the standpoint. I mean, Jeb McCaleb is the one that founded it, but he's there, but he's not, he doesn't run it like a company, if that makes sense. So I don't know. I mean, you just have to look at, the whole landscape and kind of note the differences of how things are, developed and where they're headed and what their ultimate intent is. Is it a more altruistic? I mean, Stellar, from what I can tell, is going in the right direction from that perspective, and that they've been very transparent and very upfront with,
right.
Doing and how they're doing it and how they're testing it and what they're finding and what the ultimate goal is in terms of all that. Because even if you would do a transaction, it has to go through a series of decentralized approval of it. So it's got a set of eyes on that to see whether or not it's legitimate, right? Before it's actually can go through to fruition. So you don't have it's not funneling through one thing where someone can control, whether or not that's good money or bad money, and we're going to funnel the bad stuff here. I mean, I don't know. I just, knowledge is power from that point. I'm just trying to stay up on the technology of it. But there, it's kind of all over the board. I can definitely see where some of this stuff is either being developed to go off the rails or, or being developed.
Well,
and somebody else's benefit, not the people's benefit.
Yeah. So. And even if it's something that starts out really good or something that starts out in the private sector, the public sector, the government's going to get their hands on it, their grubby paws on it, and ruin it. So, stable coins, that's the word I was looking for. Have you heard of stable coins?
Yeah, stable coins are basically just tied to a fiat currency, right? So the CBDCs could be minted out of kind of thin air, and they can be programmed to do different things. The stable coins are basically just tied to a stable currency, and that could be gold, it could be silver, it could be whatever. So the stable coin
dollar
to be like the US digital, I think there's a USD, United States dollar, digital dollar, right? I mean, so USDC, United States dollar currency, I think. So that's not a program. It's a totally different thing. That's basically just digital money. I mean, but
like we're already dealing with.
Yeah, like we're already dealing with, right?
Yeah.
So, but they are the stable coins are that stable, right? They're not going to be flying all over the place. They can't be, they're going to be tied to an asset, whether that's a hard asset or, right, a country's fiat currency or whatever it is. It's going to be tied to an asset.
Yeah.
So it makes it more stable, and it's not going to be all over the place. So yeah, that makes sense based on what I know. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess it remains to be seen, but yeah, this technology is, and, one of the videos that I had watched, was talking about the stable coins and that executive order, and, just to kind of keep an eye on it too, right? Like if it's saying, don't look here, or look here, we need to make sure we're watching somewhere else. But there's a couple of companies that are way more advanced than Neuralink is, and Neuralink already it's in several people. Maybe
Okay.
like 50 people or so, and
I think those folks are mobility issues, like he was saying, like Elon was saying, that was designed to help people move that, are paralyzed. And my understanding is I just saw an interview with him the other day that they're going to be putting a chip in, or they have, or about to put in a chip, someone that was blind from birth, that will hopefully allow them to see.
Yeah. I mean, of course they're going to pull at your heartstrings. And how heartless would you be to be against technology that gives sight to someone who's never seen before?
Right.
Like, how could you say that is a bad thing? No. But this Heather
advanced, if there's something more, I mean, I'm sure there is something more advanced out there than that.
And that's what this video that I was watching was talking about. Let me see. I need to see if I can find the article, because it was a BlackRock, but it was talking about something like being able to throw your emotions. Like, and that was the phrase it used. Like, somebody could take, talking about the emotion thing, right? And them not being able to quite mimic that, because that's just something unique to us as human beings, as our emotions. But being able to literally share our emotion with another person.
Right.
I was like, wow, that just sounds
so
incredibly creepy.
Concerning. It's a little concerning. Yeah. I don't know where it's all gonna go. I'm just, like I said, trying to stay up on the technologies and kind of at least try to predict where some of it might go. And I just watch the beta testing on it and what comes out after they, find another way for someone to corrupt it. Do they fix it and all that stuff? But
I don't know. Once something's corrupted, I mean, it's hard to think of an example where we uncorrupt it.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I don't know if it's a matter of uncorrupting, but just, saying, okay, shut that down, do something different, or shut down that means of them being able to hack it or hack into it, or.
Yeah. So, going back to the original video that we played, talking about the AGI,
right?
Artificial General Intelligence,
right?
And the concept there kind of is right in that word singularity. I don't know if we've talked about that on here or not, but that you reach a point basically of no return.
Right.
Reach this point where, AI
surpasses human.
And I think there's some indications that that's already happened.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's kind of what that video was talking about. It was saying by the year 2045. Well, and that used to sound like so far in the future, which it's only 20 years in the future, which 20 years goes by in the blink of an eye.
Right.
And what if that's not
right?
What if that's not accurate? What if it's here now?
Right. And it's definitely, I mean, some of this stuff, it would be comical if it wasn't so creepy. Melissa, maybe pull up, there's the video of the robot going crazy on. I'm like, there's some definite, they're talking about, I just read, I think it was an article on Epoch Times that they've interdicted drones carrying fentanyl across. They're using this, to so that people don't get hurt. That, shoot the drone out of the sky. Okay, fine, you've lost your drugs, but no one's necessarily, you haven't lost one of your gang members. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely lots of ramifications for all this, from that standpoint. Here we go.
Yeah, just watch this. I mean, look at that thing. It looks mad.
It looks, and it looks, I mean, its movements are definitely very human-like from that perspective.
I mean, a human losing
it's like
stuff, but I think we call that going postal,
right? Exactly. A robot went postal. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know where that was or what the context of that was, but I was just like,
my understanding it was in China.
Okay.
So I think it's just in a, probably in a warehouse or in a factory, that's probably just,
short circuited somewhere. Yeah. Oh.
Or, takes over somewhere.
Right.
Yeah. So BlackRock, here, I found this article. I'll send this in the chat. But yeah, Tether is a BlackRock neurotech, which if my understanding is if Neuralink has it in 50 people, this company has it in 500 people. So it's that much further along.
Right.
So yeah, do some digging into this BlackRock, company Tether, because Tether is also behind the stable coin. So it all kind of.
I think Tether has a stable coin. I don't know if they're behind all of them, but. Yeah.
Right. But behind one.
Right.
But they are, they are announcing a brain OS, a brain operating system, open source brain augmentation platform.
Huh.
Designed or aims to democratize access to advanced brain computer interface technology. Which, I think Melissa just put that in the chat a little while ago. She thinks about something,
right,
and it pops up on her, which is what you were telling. And
yeah,
I remember you telling me that story, and that was a while ago. That was
like I said, it was last year. It was a
year or ago. Yeah, and
like I said, it was the pattern on that was too
specific. Yeah,
right. For me to think that it was a coincidence of any kind. I'm like, there's no way that's a coincidence.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, I think we're a lot further down the road on some of this stuff than we know for sure. But yeah, I don't know. I don't even know I have no idea what you'd even do about it.
Pray.
Yeah, other than pray. Yeah, exactly. And I just have to wonder, I'm like, well, how would it upload? I guess, does it upload to my phone? Like how did it know? Yeah, I mean, where is that interface? Where is that interface that they were talking about? Right.
I think what did that Ray Hertzweiler say in that video? It's nanotechnology. It's getting nanotechnology into us. And again, I'm not a huge Star Trek fan, but I've watched enough of it with my husband to know about the Borg.
Right. Yeah.
The Borg is the collective, and that's exactly what he described in that video.
Right.
But like it's this super intelligent mass, and it, that's what the Borg is. Go look up, search what the Borg is in Star Trek, because the premise behind it is that it's out there hurtling in space. And forgive me, Star Trek fans, if I say this the wrong way, but this is how I remember it. But then when you interact with it, it just tries to,
yeah, it subsumes you, into its collective, into
itself, and then you lose all.
Yeah.
individuality, you lose who you are as an individual. And so you want to avoid the Borg, at least at that point. But that, to me, this is all pointing towards that. And again, that's the spiritual aspect of this, right? It's like trying to take away our humanity.
Right. Yep.
And, going back to that text message with the chat BT where it was like, my child. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And,
definitely, that was definitely concerning. So
yeah, open your Bible. do not go, talk with chat GPT.
Right. Or Alexa or Siri or But and we were talking before the show, right? That some of these concepts have been around forever. The movies, from the 80s, Mannequin, right? Where he falls in love with, she's a mannequin part of the time. I think she ends up turning into a human. But anyway, but then there's Weird Science, where the girl in Weird Science, I can't remember the model's name or who she was, but I can pick the face. But the boys,
Kelly
LeBrock. Yeah, Kelly LeBrock, yeah. And then the one you were talking about, which I had never seen.
Yeah, Cherry 2000. And it was, a man married to a android.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, and we are for real seeing that. We're seeing people desiring, we don't want human interaction anymore. And what did we just go through since 2020? Like that was a huge part of, the whole plan was to cut us off from each other, cut us off from interacting with each other. Oh, it's so nefarious. It's so nefarious.
It is definitely evil agenda out there on all this stuff. So, I don't know where it's all going to go. I mean, there's definitely seems like there's some cracks in the whole global WEF and, some things that are happening there. It's going to be an interesting next year or two, I think, in my opinion, with regard to where all this goes. There was a fire today or some kind of black smoke billowing out of the Vatican today. I mean, there's just some.
Oh, isn't that their sign though, that they haven't chosen? Isn't it supposed? It's black when they haven't picked one, but it's white when they have.
Yeah, I just caught the headline, which made it sound like there was a fire.
Oh no, I think because they added that chimney.
Oh, okay. There we go. Oh, there we go.
What looms over Kansas?
I don't know. I can't see the top of it.
Let's see the skies.
Yeah, if I could get anything to load in time. My friend sent me this today. There's a black swirling ring in the sky. I don't know if I'll be able to play it.
Well, that's kind of weird.
I can see that.
Where is that? That was in Kansas.
Bonner Springs, Kansas. So like in between Wichita and Kansas City.
Yeah. How far away from you is that?
Like an hour and a half.
Oh, that's kind of weird.
People are saying it's birds. Which they would think that.
No, I've never seen birds like that.
I've never seen birds like that, but
so like if you watch it, it does look kind of like see the fuzziness around there, kind of.
Or an image, like just oh god, who knows?
They're saying it's bugs, it's birds. Someone said there was an explosion and it's a smoke ring.
No, that would dissipate.
Yeah, I know. I don't believe it's a smoke ring, but the likely thing for me would be birds. And the only reason I say that is because if you watch the whole thing, it does look a little wonky at one point. Like, how birds are. They kind of like when one moves one direction, it kind of goes. Yeah, but still, something's happening for the birds to be doing that. That's not normal for birds to be doing.
Yeah. Do you remember that back in 2020 or 2021, the animals that would all go in the circles? Everybody kind of freaked out about that because that apparently that is a normal thing they do, but it's a defense mechanism, and they were,
it's like a warning to the herd or something.
Yes, they're like circling and protecting themselves. But you saw that everywhere. I mean, I remember seeing birds in a parking lot just starting to. It's kind of like you're not even out in the wilderness. So that was very creepy. And one of those things, it's like, who knows if they do it all the time and just nobody ever caught it on video. But there was videos from all over the world. We had nothing better to do than to video
sit and watch
videos.
Oh goodness.
Well,
All right.
Another good episode, ladies, like always. Unfortunately, we got to kind of cut short here just a little bit because we've got another show coming up after this one. But as always, you guys talk about, you let people probably feel like they're not alone seeing all these things and know that, you're not crazy. Other people think these things too. So my 2 cents on the AI thing is I think it can be possessed by a spirit. Chris, you said that they can't become emotional. I fully think they can if they get possessed by something. Now, whether I'm not saying good spirits are doing that. I believe it's this, because that they say that the Nephilim are cursed to walk the earth. Their spirits, they'll be called unclean spirits looking for a body to inhabit. Mm-hmm. So I think we're just making vessels for demons, maybe.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. Head on a swivel. Head on a swivel. Eyes up.
Yeah, and learn all you can. Just don't, try to understand the world around you as best you can, and you can only do that by, reading and studying what's there and questioning. Question everything.
Everything.
One. Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you, ladies. Don't forget, every Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern, you can catch Dawn and Chris for Know Your Rights, and we'll see you next week.
All right. See you, everybody.